Okay, we are live once again with a quick Bitcoin and Ethereum update on my trade. Because of course I did take a little bit of a new position today, or new position. I added some to my Ethereum trade, but I mostly feel like, and that's why I'm live streaming now, is that in this morning's update video we did not really discuss the short term for Bitcoin, and I just wanted to do a quick recap of that and basically tell you guys how I'm feeling about Bitcoin short term and also eat on somewhat of the short term perspective. So let's discuss that in today's stream. Of course, everybody's open to ask questions in the chat. I will try my best to answer all of them, but I do want to keep it a little bit focused on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the bigger perspective. I'm not going in on very certain altcoin requests or stuff like that, so keep that in mind. But I will first wait for some people to drop in. Also, I will do a quick post on X that I'm live once again. Give me a second to do so, then I will start. Um, And first of all, how are you guys doing, of course? I'm just doing that quick post, and then I will dive in. Almost done. Almost done. Okay. Just did a post. But now I'm ready to dive in. Perfect. Since what I'm seeing for Bitcoin here, and like stated in this morning's update video, I did have a little bit of the feeling that maybe I did not talk enough about the short-term Bitcoin perspective and how I think we are going to move from here in the next few days. So that is something very important that I wanted to discuss now in this live stream. Hello, thanks for your videos, excellent content in my opinion. Thank you so much, first of all. Thanks for the support. A lot of support on the channel over the last, I would say, months, 2 months, definitely since we started live streaming together. Absolutely amazing, and yeah, we will just keep on pushing from here because now in Q4, of course, the opportunities are endless. But for Bitcoin, what I'm currently seeing for Bitcoin is first of all this major support level here, and now also the perfect bounce for Bitcoin on that support level, and all with the fact in mind that this is something I will also be sharing on X. With the fact in mind that Wednesday is actually one of the best performing days for Bitcoin, over the last month, it is very logical that Bitcoin is indeed seeing a bounce of this support zone. And I think this could very well continue to the upside. Next level I do think is very important for Bitcoin is going to be this, basically this, how do you pronounce it? This, let's just call it this resistance line from all of the wicks here from first, second wick, and now the third wick for Bitcoin, clear rejection back down towards the support zone. And I do think from here Bitcoin is going to be bouncing back indeed, and once we're going to break this exact level, I do think that is the moment where Bitcoin is going to take off and basically outperform the market for, let's say, 2-3 weeks, because I do think Bitcoin is just going to take the lead from here. And like I discussed in this morning's update video, I most definitely don't think that the Bitcoin top is in here. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this chart, with of course the 164 to 364 days pattern, which has been perfectly playing out for the last 2 cycles. But ultimately, I don't think that it makes a lot of sense for Bitcoin to top out in this exact phase. Regarding the seasonality, looking at the seasonality, monthly returns, October now, we just started October actually. So it would not make a lot of sense to me for Bitcoin to top out here. So that is why I do think eventually Bitcoin is going to break through this resistance, and from there it's going to be heading higher. And in that move, we are definitely going to look into some top targets. What I am currently seeing on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which I will open quickly here, Bitcoin liquidation heat map, is something good to be back. Omar, nice to have you back once again. The liquidation heat map, we are seeing something very interesting, because I think for the first time in this cycle, or maybe not the first time, but it's definitely a very interesting one, a major liquidity cluster at the 140k level. And I do think what's happening for the market now is that a lot of people are starting to potentially short the Bitcoin top here. So I do think a lot of people are betting on a 140k cycle top maybe, and that's why a lot of liquidity is stacking up there. For Bitcoin breaking through this resistance, of course, we are we could very quickly be closing in on the 140k level. But that is definitely going to be a major resistance zone. It also corresponds with a major Fibonacci level for Bitcoin. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time, but I would say that Bitcoin could most definitely be bouncing here and eventually breaking through this resistance. I don't want to see Bitcoin showing much more downside, to be fair. I do think that is not going to be very bullish, and I don't think it's necessary. So let's see about that. But this is what I currently think. So hold the support level here, which is at its lowest going to be 120, let's say 119k. If Bitcoin is going to break lower from there, yeah, then you're looking back into the range once again, and then I think a bigger drop is likely. But I don't necessarily think that this has to happen. I think Bitcoin needs to find some strength quickly, move back up, break the resistance, and then initiate the final move. And there the next big resistance is probably going to be the 140k level. And from there we just have to see and analyze a little bit at that moment what we think of a potential Bitcoin top target. But 140k is definitely going to be interesting. And I just don't think that this is going to be the cycle top, because it does not make a lot of sense for me. Also looking at the monthly returns here, October now 7% gain, but actually the average is 20%. November, same can be said, still a very bullish month. Actually November during a post halving year has only been negative in November here, actually, with 2021 finding the cycle top in 2021 in November, and let's see, in 2017 we did find the cycle top in December actually. So yeah, let's see. So that's what I'm currently thinking of Bitcoin. On ETH, and maybe I did not discuss this detailed enough. This good afternoon, James. Nice to have you back. What I maybe did not discuss enough in detail here for Ethereum is that actually I did add to my Ethereum trading position. And I will show the exact level where I have been adding, if you do want to do the same or just interested. Actually, Ethereum is now retesting the moving average 50, which is the blue line. So blue is the 50 daily, orange is the 100 daily actually. 100 daily moving average. And it's now retesting that level. And if you take a look back into the May-June consolidation phase, where we also saw the retest, this is actually the phase of basically the final phase before liftoff for ETH. And I do still believe in the final wave for ETH, a big move higher. So for me, it makes a lot of sense to add just a little bit to my position, since of course this could also be our last opportunity if Ethereum is not going to break back below the 50 daily, which in my opinion is also not that much of a problem, because ultimately I do still think Ethereum is going to be heading higher. But of course, it is going to look a little bit different. So for the people that are interested in that, that's exactly where I've been adding 1.5k position size to now almost 20k Ethereum trade. And yeah, I maybe will stay adding here as we are going to see more consolidation. But yeah, let's see about exactly that. I don't necessarily think ETH does have to consolidate much longer, since Bitcoin could be pushing higher quite quickly from here. And then eventually Ethereum is going to head higher once again also. So that's what I'm thinking of ETH. That's why I've been adding to my trade. If you do want to do the same, make sure to check out that 50% deposit bonus on LBANK. You can still claim this on LBANK. So yeah, check it out to trade Ethereum or a lot of other altcoin pairs yourself. Not only you can claim a nice bonus for yourself, but you will also be supporting the channel if you're going to do so. So yeah, would of course be highly appreciated. But yeah, for Bitcoin, it's just looking very interesting here because I do think today's bounce is looking very bullish. Actually, it's definitely what you want to see. Because it would not make a lot of sense for Bitcoin to lose a lot of strength here. A lot of people are saying we have topped, stressing a double top. This is a little worrying. Yeah, but I've been making countless videos on the channel about a double top scenario, and we have seen this so many times. We have seen it at 70k. We've seen it at let's think back 70k. We've seen the 100k. We've seen it at so many levels. The double top scenario, and actually every single time people calling for this were wrong. So yeah, it's probably not going to be much different. But yeah, ultimately, Bitcoin is, in my opinion, indeed getting closer and closer to the top, of course, because we are nearing the end stage of 4-year cycle. But for me, it would not make sense for Bitcoin to top out in October, at the beginning of October. Um, yeah, but it's all going to depend, I must say, on how Bitcoin will be performing over the 1 or next 2 weeks here, because then we are definitely going to see the truth. Because there is going to be a moment where Bitcoin is, of course, going to show a lot of weakness and is going to drop lower. And of course, at that moment, I will be honest, and I could also be turning bearish on the markets. I'm not going to say that I will stay bullish here, but yeah, for now, I do still think there's more upside left. And that upside, that last upside of the cycle, is probably the phase where you are going to make the biggest amounts of money. Definitely once ETH is going to catch up even more, and also altcoins. For me, it would also not make sense to basically see the crypto market top out with ETH, and most definitely altcoins basically still close to, some altcoins even still close to the lows. When everyone says we've topped, we haven't topped. Yeah, I'm also that's why I wanted to discuss the chart from this morning here, because so many people are posting this and talking about it, and I just want to give my opinion. And indeed, once so many people are talking about the top and something like this being repeated, it could of course be an indication that yeah, maybe it's not going to be the case. And we also saw this in September at the beginning, once everybody thought that we would crash at the beginning of September. Then actually we pumped, then everybody turned bullish, and then later in September we dumped. And so basically most of the time when everybody is saying something in crypto, they are going to be wrong about it. So indeed. Um, but yeah, not only actually because of seasonality, I also think that for the post half years, we've always seen a retest in September and then more upside in the last 2 months of the quarter, basically. So yeah, in that case, October top would also be unlikely, I think. Um, I do think November is going to be a very interesting month, actually, I would say. Also, this was something a viewer from yesterday's live stream actually showed me, with the moving average 200 trend line now getting close to the previous cycle high. That's also going to be an Bitcoin top indicator. But with stuff like this, you can of course believe this, you can believe this, you can. There are so many scenarios left still for potential Bitcoin cycle top. But the thing we know is that indeed we are nearing the ending stage of the 4-year cycle. So one thing for certain is that if you believe in the 4-year cycle, that this is going to be a period where you do want to get a little bit more cautious. Definitely once you're progressing through October, and yeah, that most definitely. With of course that 140k level in mind, I do think the liquidity stacking up there is quite insane. And the liquidity stacking up now above, let's say, the 126k level does, in my opinion, not look so scary that I'm like, oh, that's going to be a potential top. No, I do think a liquidation cluster like we're seeing at the 140k, that is where it might get, or where of course you will get max pain if Bitcoin could be moving through there, liquidating off the shorts before then eventually heading lower. Mm. So yeah, very interesting for Bitcoin now. Definitely an interesting period coming up. Double bottom pattern for Bitcoin still playing out. I do think there's still a little bit of upside left there for Bitcoin. Perfect weekly candle close is like an insane weekly candle, of course. We do know that by now. And yeah, I do think Bitcoin is actually bouncing back quite strongly. Mostly supported by, of course, those big ETF inflows also. What I must say is that once we do see very big ETF inflows, it is usually somewhat of a local top. Of course, there's also going to be a moment in the cycle where that simply isn't the case anymore and Bitcoin just stays on pumping. But on the other hand, this is something the data shows us, so we should be open to it. I think in the next few days here we are going to get a lot of info of how the market is going to be looking like for the next 2 months here, most definitely. Mm, Also, BlackRock buying a lot of ETH once again, so that looks amazing. And I do think this is going to get quite insane once again, because in those big Ethereum moves higher, the biggest catalyst were actually the ETF buys and also the buys of treasury companies. Now, lately, we have not seen a lot of treasury company buys again, but that is mostly because the ETH price is still down a little bit. And once the ETH price is going to come up more and more, of course, those treasury companies will have much more funds to raise or will start raising more capital, and they will start buying more ETH once again, and that corresponding with higher ETF inflows, you have like this major catalyst which could be pushing the Ethereum price much higher. So yeah, probably that's going to happen once again for ETH. That would make a lot of sense, and that's going to make us a lot of money on our Ethereum trading position, for example. So very excited about that. I do see that I'm now in a little profit once again, because this morning I opened it was at $900 in profit, but now it's coming back up ever so slightly. And yeah, I did add just a little bit here, like I stated earlier. I don't know if what is this actually. Alright, this is my average entry price. Yeah, it's very tough that actually I did not open that limit or that 3.8k. I should have just moved it a little bit with $40 of a difference, or 3.9k. Then I would have made much and much more money. But yeah, ultimately my entry is now 4.2k, and I do still think it's decent. It's definitely not bad. But yeah, if you're going to ever come back to those levels in the near future, I will be adding more if Bitcoin is going to stay looking good. Most definitely. Something maybe also interesting to discuss is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and not this one because we talk about that every single day. But let me open a new one. Also, guys, if you have any questions, just drop it in the chat, and I will be there to answer. Look, for the Bitcoin dominance. First of all, I do think the Bitcoin dominance most definitely did make a cycle high. When Bitcoin reaches 140k, everybody will say the cycle's over and then it's going to pop more. It's always the same behavior during every bull market. People never learn. Let's see. For me, it's all going to depend on how the price action and how the data is going to look like at 140k. I'm not really looking into the sentiment or stuff like that. I'm just always, and that's what I like to talk about in the update videos. I always try to back my charts with data and with the most important stuff I'm seeing. I'm doing a lot of research daily also on the market, so I do think it's most of the times backed with alpha and with data. So yeah, at that moment, once Bitcoin is going to close in the 140k, I will just be looking honestly into the data, and from there we can make our own decisions. Because there's also going to be a phase where, of course, I will be flipping bearish too. Of course, trying to protect my own capital here and trying to help my audience, which is watching and which has been supporting me over the last. I think we have been uploading for almost a year now, actually, on the channel. Now, let's see, 312 videos. So I think I've been uploading for almost a year now. Actually, not that long, and already 6.2k subscribers, and we are growing very quickly actually in the last few months. So absolutely amazing. Thanks for the support also. But yeah, very nice to see. Super happy about that. But let's talk about the Bitcoin dominance chart. Getting a little bit off topic here. First of all, I do most definitely think we made a cycle high for the Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, I think it's obvious here with the cycle high. What I think is going to be next for the Bitcoin dominance. A little bit of a yawn, sorry. Maybe just a bit of a jet lag. Bitcoin dominance heading back up now. Now it's actually starting to turn red once again. I do believe that the Bitcoin dominance could stay moving up a little bit before ETH takes the spotlights, and then altcoins are going to start outperforming. For me, something like that would make a lot of sense. And just to make it a little bit more clear, we can also draw it for a bit. Or let's do it with something like this. Boom. Boom. I truly think that it could be looking something like this. Don't look at the timing, please. But I do think now Bitcoin could stay outperforming a little bit. Then Ethereum is going to take spotlights, and then altcoins will take spotlights. I don't think it's going to be much different. And if you believe so, yeah, then also your 4-year cycle perspective is going to be is going to be different. Do you this happen? Do you think this happens in November? I do think we will move through October with a little bit more upside. Then later in October, Ethereum coming down. November, I would say altcoins coming down mostly, and that continuing December. In December, finding Bitcoin dominance lows probably. Maybe continue to Q1 2026, and then the Bitcoin dominance is probably going to take over again. I'm thinking something like that, but it's also going to depend a lot on the monetary policy of the Federal Reserve. Most definitely, are we truly going to see 2 more rate cuts this year? Because we have not talked about this for a long time, but also this week we have a Powell speech once again. But with the FOMC meeting here, 21 days, we have a 95% of a new rate cut. And for December, so the second FOMC of this year, or the last one left actually, we have an 80% chance of a rate cut. So yeah, let's see how that will be playing out. And if you're getting 2 rate cuts, I do think altcoins will stay heading higher, and we are going to eventually come into a stage where it's going to get very interesting for most definitely US investors or holders of the dollar to start investing more into altcoins, definitely from money market funds or different types of bonds. Eventually, once the rates are going to come down, it's getting more and more interesting to search for riskier assets. And then Ethereum and also altcoins, but most definitely Ethereum, are going to be huge winners out of that scenario. So let's see. If you're truly going to get 2 rate cuts this year, it's of course going to be different. And then your outlook could also change here on the Bitcoin dominance. But what I do think, and that is another reason why it does not make a lot of sense for me for Bitcoin to top out here, and maybe I'm going to be wrong, but I'm just going to say what I think, honestly. Look, for Bitcoin, if you compare it with 2021 and you're going to overlay, for example, let's overlay it with the total 3 chart, or maybe even total 2. So now I even include Ethereum. Let's overlay it here. Let me check. This is logarithmic. This one. No, also. Look, still lagging behind by a lot actually. I think we should draw it like this. This is going to be honest. Still total 2. So Ethereum, but definitely all altcoins, still lagging behind by a lot with Bitcoin, not corresponding with a potential cycle top. Because what happens during a cycle top, and we saw this almost happening here with this pump to 70k, but during that second cycle top here in 2021, for example, you do see altcoins catching up with Bitcoin. And this is the phase where also the Bitcoin dominance drops rather quickly. I'm only selling my Bitcoin once the previous all-time crosses the 1 week SMA. Yeah, we did discuss it. I also discussed it in this morning of this video. I do think that's going to be invalid threat, most definitely, because it also corresponds with the Genesis cycle, basically with all of the cycles, and with an October and probably November rally. But yeah, what you do want to see is altcoins catching up here with Bitcoin, and they're finding a cycle top, basically for the total crypto market. But that is definitely not what we've seen so far. So this is yet again another reason why it will not make a lot of sense for me to see Bitcoin topping out here, since we are still seeing that lag. Yeah, it would just not make a lot of sense for me. So yeah, let's see. What else do we have to discuss in this today live stream? Let me check the news quickly. A lot of stuff actually coming out. Yeah, look, this is also the Fibonacci retracement levels I was talking about. Now Bitcoin once again getting rejected somewhat at the 122k level, 122.5k, which is that second Fibonacci level. I do think that definitely this next move from the second to the 2.272 Fibonacci level is going to be a reachable one. I do think Bitcoin could be getting there, and that's also a level where now a lot of short liquidity is piling up. So let's see from there what's going to happen. But these Fibonacci retracement levels have been so accurate for Bitcoin, so why would it be any different this time? They have been spot on. Omar, I think Bitcoin will reach 140k before November. Let's see. It's definitely, it's possible, definitely, most definitely. I hope so. But I think it's possible 140k because it just corresponds with the 2.2.72 Fibonacci level. Yeah, that's going to be the moment in the cycle, probably somewhat of a breaking point. Where depending on the price action, I'm going to flip bearish for a potential cycle top, or I'm going all in for 175k. It really depends. Do we actually think there will be an altcoin season this year? Yes, I think so, but it will be a little bit different. I don't know if it will feel like an altcoin season for most people. But I do think there's going to be a certain period in the market with altcoins, altcoin outperformance. So, for example, the others or the total tree market kept seeing locking in bigger gains in perspective than to Bitcoin and Ethereum. We are going to see a period like that. This year, it could also be Q1 2026. It's all going to depend on the monetary policy. So the next federal rate cut or the next FOMC meetings are going to be very important, because are we going to get even more rate cuts in 2026? It's all going to play a big role in a potential period for altcoins to outperform. 140k will be very strong level. Yeah, most definitely, but also on the Fibonacci retracements and now on the short liquidity. So it's not only psychological anymore. It's also, we can see it on the data. So it's going to be a big one. That was what I wanted to tell you guys. That new liquidation cluster here at the 140k level indeed. So a lot of people are placing the shorting Bitcoin, expecting a cycle top there. But yeah, let's see about exactly that. We will have an answer quite soon. Yeah, just drop the question in the chat, guys. I'm here for it. I think it's quite clear now what I think of the markets once again and what I will be doing with my Ethereum trade. And of course, make sure to check out that deposit bonus. Now it's still available. I think it will be available for about 4 more days here, the deposit bonus. So if you haven't claimed it yet, make sure to check it out. We also work on a new campaign for you guys. We have some very cool stuff incoming. I do think for tomorrow's update video, I do have some news about that. So make sure to check that one out. Because I've been working closely with LBANK to come up with good campaigns for you guys. And I do think we have something cool coming up. So maybe something very nice to claim here in the ending stage. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I just read that one. Try to message you on Telegram about the bonuses. Had an issue. I'm getting a lot of messages. I'm checking my phone now. I will send you a message back. I think I saw somebody indeed. Let me check it. I think actually I did reply to you, but I've not gotten a reply back. You're from Iceland, right? Just check your Telegram. I replied to you, and you can just send me a message back. Just let me know what the problem is, and I will be. Oh, so now didn't get notification. No problem. No problem. Okay, I'm not seeing a lot of questions coming in. Gisli, I will be getting back to you quickly. I've seen your message. I will take. Want, can you send your. Yeah, for the people that don't know, actually in my description, I'm also have my TG handle in there. If you do want to connect me about issues or maybe not issues, just questions about the LBANK, the offers, the campaigns we have, or just I don't know other useful questions. Please don't come to me with questions asking for money and stuff because that's very annoying. But if you just have a generous question or an actual something you do want to know, make sure to check it out. What price are you looking for to be fully exited out of your Ethereum trade? I'm looking at the 5.5k level, I think. I will be taking a look into this. I'm going to draw this chart out once again. Let me bull case. Look, this was basically a chart which we have been nailing the cycle with on the channel. In the reaccumulation phase on the way back up, we've basically been hitting all of these Fibonacci retracement levels. And now at the conservative case, or not now, but back at the conservative case hitting 4k. I did sell some spot holdings actually, but now back on the way up. I think 5.4 and 6.3k of the Fibonacci retracement levels are going to be massive ones for ETH. Those are going to be levels where I will be taking profits on my Ethereum trade and hopefully fully exiting out at 6.3. Of course, also could change in the future because I'm just always looking at also the short-term data and what's happening in the markets there. But these levels have been super spot on for us in this total reaccumulation phase and also above the conservative case, above the range highs, that 4k level basically. So for me, there's not a lot of reason to assume that this is going to be different with those levels. And I will be drawing this chart out once again today because it's in another trading view. I will be drawing it out in my YouTube trading view, and then we can discuss it also in the update videos and the live streams. And for that, I must say, for the people that are interested in that, actually, I will quickly try to show this on my Telegram. Look, actually something I did today was the following. I just made a Crypto Ghost update channel in the private VLP group. So if you do enjoy my update videos, make sure to also check out this channel here. You can find it with the link in the description on the live stream. I will be updating more in this channel. Of course, I will be updating mostly on my LBANK trade on my YouTube, but I will use this channel with Crypto Rover and all the other guys to basically help, or not help. I will just be sharing updates more on the macro perspective, so what I think of the cycle on the bigger perspective and possibly new swing trades. So yeah, make sure to check it out. I will just keep you guys up to date here and just showing you guys what I think about the market in general. So yeah. So yeah, exit that. And if you do want to claim the deposit bonus, guys, make sure to check out LBANK. There you can claim that bonus. And then we are hopefully going to make a nice trade on ETH here. Still left for about 3 to 4 days here, so make sure to check it out. For today, I will be ending the stream since there's not that much happening actually on the market. I just want to give an update. I think this week still some interesting things coming up with the Powell speech in 2 days. Actually, tomorrow we also going to see some stuff. I confused would take profit at 6k or 5k on ETH, both levels. I will slowly profit myself out of the position basically. I've been slowly DCAing in and I will be DCAing out. I never sell or buy at one certain level. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. You should always be taking your position in multiple steps, or you should be taking profits in multiple steps. DCA trading. I'm using that thread with, of course, swing trading in general because I don't take a lot of trades. But yeah, now of course we have all eyes on the Ethereum trade here on the YouTube channel, and let's run it up together in Q4, guys. And thanks for the support. But like I said, I will be ending the stream for today. There's not much more to discuss. I think now I did give a big update on the Ethereum, of on the Bitcoin short-term price action actually here. I just closed the chart actually, but just for the people just tuning in, which maybe missed this, on the daily perspective, I think now Bitcoin is showing a very nice bounce of this support level, and let's see what the continuation is going to be. This is going to be a major resistance level to break, and once that's going to happen, it's going to look very bullish for Bitcoin here, with potentially more upside. Have a great day. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks so much for watching once again. We will be back with a live stream very soon. If there's going to be happening something very important on the market, I will of course be live immediately, because I'm back at my own setup, back at my own studio. So yeah, I'm ready to stay ahead of the market with you guys here on the channel. Okay guys, that was it for today's live stream. See you guys in tomorrow's update video or in a live stream later today or this week. Ciao.